Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be reviewing Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter. This one, out of the first four films, is my favorite. It's probably it's my second favorite or third favorite in the whole franchise. I think Jason Lives is still my favorite, which we'll be discussing in 2 episodes. But let's talk about Part 4. So Paramount, for some reason, even though the money was coming in good, they wanted to kill the franchise off. I guess because they didn't really like where it was going, like how sleazy it was, and how people were like calling the movies trash and things like that. In the 80s, horror films got it done bad by the movie critics. They still get done bad by the critics nowadays, but they were even worse back then. So I guess Paramount wanted to separate themselves from the franchise and kill it off. Well, you look at that. A year later, they make Friday the 13th Part 5 a new beginning after this one, so it wasn't really the final chapter. But even years after, they've not tried to add a Part 4 to it. So this one is just, I call it Part 4, but the original title was Friday the 13th, the final chapter. So this movie has a lot going for it, though, because the characters, they're very memorable. You got Ted, you got Jimmy, those sweet dance moves, and Corey Feldman playing Tommy. And Tommy, over the next 3 films, will be like our central protagonist over the next 3. Ted White is another great thing going for this film. Plays a very aggressive Jason, and there's even stuff where he said on set he didn't really like Corey Feldman at all. He kind of hated him, so he channeled that disdain to play a more aggressive Jason when he was going after him. And compared to Richard Brooker was a great actor as Jason. He's a great actor too, in general, but Ted White just plays this more fast-paced, aggressive version. And let's just talk about the beginning of the film. This movie starts the same day that Part 3 ended, or the night of Part 3 ending, where the police, they find Jason's body in the barn. So that night they send him out to the hospital. He's put in the morgue, and we meet Axel, a very pervy mortician. He tries to get it on one of their nurses, and he's watching this aerobic sex video, but Jason uses a hacksaw, slits his neck, spins his head around 360. And another good thing this film has going for it is Tom Savini is back for the effects. He came back, and the way he modeled his Jason design after it was more closely to a grown-up version of his original design for Jason. And it's kind of cool that Paramount knew it was the final chapter. So they're like, hey, come back. You made the character's original design, so how about you come back and finish him off? You get to kill him off. And we'll discuss his death scene, which is a really good one, in a little bit when Jason dies in this film. But let's talk about some other standout death scenes. There's Samantha, I believe. She goes out to this raft, and Jason does a recreation of the arrow kill. He also did a recreation of the arrow kill last movie, so it's another. It's still not as good as the original, but it's good. He just goes in the raft and stabs up with his machete. And although my favorite one is probably Jimmy's death, it's probably the most iconic of this film. Crispin Glover's character, he says, Ted, where the hell is the corkscrew? And gets a corkscrew shoved through his hand, and then gets a meat cleaver to the face. Then Ted's death is pretty iconic. Knife to the back of the head. One of the Doublemint twins, she gets thrown from the window onto a car. And, kudos to that stuntman on that one, because that was painful. It really does. And let's talk about the characters that I like from this film. So Trish is my favorite final girl in this franchise. That is Tommy's older sister. She fights back against Jason. She's strong the whole film. She's even a good sister, yeah. Whenever she's invited to the party where all the people that get killed are next door, she stays home and watches her little brother. So, and Corey Feldman's another strength of this film. It's the first child we've had in a Friday the 13th film, the whole franchise so far. And it's his idea at the end of the film is what beats Jason. So, same kind of idea of how Jenny beat Jason in Friday the 13th Part 2. Messing with him mentally by dressing up like her mom. Tommy shaves his head to look like Jason and tricks him into thinking it's his child version talking to him. So that distracts Jason long enough for Trish to knock his mask off. We get the face reveal, which is a more kind of like cut up version of Part 3. Like I said, it's more modeled after the original, but it's not that far off from Part 3 to like make it like to retcon. But then Tommy swings the machete to the side of his face through the eye, and then Jason slides down on his own machete, going through his eye and then back of it through his skull to the very back. And this was my favorite effect of the first like 6, because the way he just goes, it looks definitive how he died there. But, you know, Tommy, he pulls the machete out and hacks at him off camera, screaming "die," and then puts Jason down for good, at least until he goes in Part 6 and, you know, sticks a metal rod or a fence post for the graveyard into him. Lightning strikes him. He gets resurrected then, 2 films from now. But for now, this was the definitive death of Jason. And next movie we cover, The New Beginning, Jason is not in it at all. There's a couple dream scenes, but a killer, I won't spoil, but it's basically just a copycat killer, basically, which I'll explain more in A New Beginnings reveal. What am I talking about spoiling? Because the movie's like 40 years old. It turns 40 this year, so it's not like I'm spoiling anything. Unless you haven't seen it yet. But overall, the director Zito, he did a great job with this one. The actors and actresses, more notable, Jason's actor Ted White, rest in peace. Great. It's the whole crew gave it their all for this final chapter. And this is the most definitive favorite Friday the 13th for most people. If you're going to watch a Friday the 13th film, I would either recommend you this one or Part 3. But then in the end, it'd have to be this one. This one does what Part 3 did good, but does it a whole lot better. More memorable characters, better effects, better Jason. Even though Richard Brooker, great Jason, I think Ted White's still a little bit better. Overall, it is the quintessential Friday the 13th film that I recommend anybody who loves this series go watch. Because I've been excited for this one because, besides Part 3, I'd say I watched this one the most when I had the box set. And I still get excited when I see it on TV. So, what would I rate it? This shouldn't even be a question. It's a 10. It is a 10 out of 10. No doubt about it. Out of the series Friday the 13th films, because basically Jason Lives as a comedy, sort of horror comedy kind of thing. It's not a straightforward horror film. So, by straightforward standards, the final chapter is the best in the franchise. And it deserves that rating. So, what I say, go check it. Stay blessed. Take care. I love you guys. And I'll see you in the next one. Friday the 13th, Part 5. New Beginning.